is up, everybody? Welcome to Liberty Libations number 92. We've got a skeleton crew tonight. We were able to convince Mr. Brad Binkley to join us this evening for a little while. Brad, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Doing well, man. And Zach will be the on-air producer. Actually, he's just on air tonight. Are you drinking anything, Zach? Brad? Either one of y'all?
I have a little bit of whiskey and Coke here.
There we go.
Yeah,
Love that.
just have a White Claw. I've been off of them for a while, so maybe this one will like really hit me.
Hell
Perfect.
yeah. I'd love to see drunk Zach.
Drunk Zach is a lot of fun. I'm just drinking water tonight. I played a drinking game on the Swamp Cast for the debate 2 nights ago, and that was a rough. Some films being screened there. God Bless Bitcoin and Smart Cities. Right, that's the title of her documentary, right? Yeah.
Smart Coming to a City Near You.
There we go. Smart Coming to a City Near You. There we go. Brad Binkley's going to be doing some stuff for Propaganda Report. What are you going to be doing, Brad? Do you know?
We're going to do some man on the street videos, and I'm going to speak for a little bit about healthcare advocacy from the point of view of my parents. My mom had a rare disease, and I think they went through a lot that other people could learn from.
Heck yeah, man. I've heard you talk about that whole situation a few times, and yeah, I think there's many things people can learn from that situation. So,
yeah.
Looking forward.
I will say, God Bless Bitcoin. We interviewed some of the folks behind that at the Bitcoin conference, and in the interviews, I was so humbled by the beauty of a couple of our guests that I had a hard time speaking at times.
Yeah. I can understand that. My uncle, who was at the conference with me, would not shut up that you got to talk to Natalie Varnell.
It was great. They were very insightful and a lot of great information.
They were. And at some point, I'm going to show some of that footage when I get the time to edit it. So Brian's drinking an old-fashioned tonight. Fantastic. Y'all, tonight's going to be a little bit of a mellow show. Binkley's got to drop out here in a little while. It'll just be me and Zach. Last week's show, pardon my French, was an absolute shit show. So if you missed last week's episode, hallelujah. It was awful. Don't go back and watch it. I hated that episode. Just stick with this one. We're going to be a good palate cleanser for the evening. But Zach,
we're the
you're the one
cracker of episodes.
There we go. Is the saltine cracker. Zach, you're the one who's one of the organizers of the Great Create. Can you tell us a little bit about it and what you're excited about?
Yeah, well, I haven't nearly been as involved this year. So really all the thanks still goes to Elizabeth Melton. She's putting this on like almost completely by herself. And I know she has help here and there, but she's the main organizer and she's doing an amazing job. I don't know. I had a great time last year, even, kind of disregarding a lot of the programming. I still went to as much as I could, but I wasn't like, oh, I'm super psyched about this one thing. I just showed up, kind of went where I was drawn, and it was great. I loved meeting the people who were in attendance, meeting the speakers, just kind of day of kind of deciding what I was interested in. That's more my style. But, I don't know. I think I'm always a big, I like the variety. So we have another big, spread this year where everything from Will Harris talking about regenerative agriculture all the way to people talking about techie stuff like I'll be doing to healthcare stuff like Binkley will be doing. Plus, we expect that there's going to be a lot of fun had. Like Binkley's not going to be in serious mode the whole time, I'm sure.
It's probably not even while I'm speaking. I'll still...
Yeah.
Does Binkley have a serious mode?
Occasionally.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited to see where it all goes because, this stuff can't be planned out 100%. It's going to be a fun weekend. And
trying to bring Josh with me in his Trump impersonation.
Yes. That would be so much fun. Yeah. So if you come to the Great Create, you might get to meet fake small Trump. But yeah, dude, I'm excited about a bunch of these things. Like I didn't get to go to a bunch of them last time because I was running the film festival. We're doing a much smaller film festival this year, so I get to actually go to Alan Carroll's workshop, who's talking about mushrooms, and I get to actually watch the bands.
Yeah, some of these people that are back this year too, like we tried not to do that, but there were a few people who were like, we had demands on them, basically. Like, oh, you got to bring back this guy. Or, Alan Carroll was one of those where people were like, we got to do the mushroom thing again. And so,
yes, dude,
the best of last year, plus a bunch of new stuff.
100%.
I believe that's why my sister might come as well. She saw the mushroom
Nice
aspect of it, and she was interested in it. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah. I mean, my wife is obsessed with mushrooming ever since she discovered that there was a mushroom club of Georgia.
Yeah.
Now she goes, I mean, I go with her. It's fun. We go on like nature walks and just try to find random mushrooms in the friggin' woods. It's pretty fun. This episode is brought to you by Rabbit Eye Wine. Go get yourself a bottle. If you're in the state of Georgia, you can do it in person. Otherwise, you got to order it. It's available in about 37 states that you can order online. Y'all, it's friggin' delicious. They're the sponsor of the show. We're going to have a few bottles to give away at the Great Create. So make sure if you come down to the Great Create to figure out how we're going to be doing that, because it'll probably be through trivia and a raffle, I believe, will be our two avenues for that. So yeah, Rabbit Eye Wine. And y'all, I got to mention before we get into the meat of the show, the Cascade Effect. We dropped our teaser on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. And the first episode will air on October 1st. Huge show. It's already getting a lot of traction. We're very excited about it. It's basically a true crime podcast about police brutality, negligence, and murder in the county of Cascade in Montana. And the first season is about one specific, very suspicious death of a civilian who was killed on someone else's property. And the cop basically got away with it, ended up getting a Purple Heart, and the investigation was kind of a sham. So highly recommend going to check that out. It's going to be, I'm very excited about it. It's going to be fantastic. So make sure you go check it out. All right, let's get into, if I can pull up, dadgummit, y'all. Sorry, a little discombobulated tonight.
Need a producer.
It's like I need a producer.
Doesn't have
so we're going to watch a few debate highlights. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Yeah, Binkley, feel free to chime in whenever,
All
man.
right.
plan. Copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences.
I thought that was like his
We'll try
primary
to
good line of
She
the
doesn't have a
entire
plan.
debate.
Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I
God, she
imagine
said nothing the whole night.
build
Yeah.
an
You're right.
opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a short.
I will
I
say
think
she
she
looked
more practice into her
And the
looks,
cost of housing is too
like
Her
the
hair.
stare, or like
Yeah.
the stares and the
young
like faces
families
she
need
made.
She was
got more
face
practice.
acting hardcore, is what she was doing.
Oh, She was just staring at Trump the entire time he was speaking. I don't think he looked at her one time.
Not one time. No.
I think he may have like glanced over
On
once.
the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before,
He also
which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit.
We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after
I
75
mean,
years, pay us back.
I mean, that was obviously what she practiced, is they knew what the side-by-side framing was. And I pointed out a number of times
Yeah.
that one of the moderators is sorority sister of hers, member of the Divine Nine, the Black Freemasons, who have been very open about how they're going to get Kamala elected.
wow.
We were
I mean, it was they did not keep that a secret last night. Like anytime Trump would say something that either wasn't true or was on the border of being true, they would correct him and then immediately go to Kamala.
Right. Yeah, it was crazy. Well, I mean, I guess it wasn't crazy. It was
Well,
very
this same
different.
lady, the one you're talking about, she's the one that brought up like the KKK connection
Right.
at the DNC. She's like, "Oh, Trump's going to this town in Michigan. The KKK marched
Yep.
there."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well,
That Biden also went to.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the KKK has probably marched in many, many cities around the United States.
Yeah.
Or at very least, something bad has happened in every city.
Yeah.
If she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country.
Yeah.
She's a Marxist.
Yeah, I
Everybody
just
knows
feel
she's a
like
Marxist.
her practice was they showed her what the framing was going to be, and it was they had the Trump impersonator, and they just
That
spent
right there.
days doing these looks, these very planned reactions, which I didn't think matched to what Trump was saying. I thought it was poor acting.
She was squinting half the time. What is this? What is this? Look, what is the hand under the chin thing?
Smart thinking. I don't think she was writing anything down. I think they told her to look like she was writing stuff down, so her responses didn't seem like pre-scripted talking points, which they all were.
Yeah. Some quack says, I like how the moderator thanked Kamala for her answers, but rebutted Trump for his.
Every time. And she was very nervous at the beginning. She did get it together and calm herself, which is easy when the moderator's in the bag for you, but she was very nervous.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, you're gonna hear
Yeah.
a bunch
Brian
of
says
What
the
is that
winner of the
thing
debate
she was wearing
I have
around
no
her
idea.
neck?
What is that called? There's a name for that.
Donald
I forget what it's called.
hand-selected
It's like they were begging Trump to call it a noose.
the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade.
It looks like
And they did
a
exactly
noose
as he
or
intended. And
what
now
like
in over
the
20
proper
states,
British
there
judges
are
used to
Trump
wear.
voters
Like back in the day.
She had one of those gray wigs on
for,
Exactly.
to show how
Ass-
judicial she is.
There it is. Ascot. Good job, some quack. Yeah, I think it's an ascot.
Ascot, I always just think of like Ken, like Barbie and Ken. That's what he wears. But
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's what she's wearing.
What else do you know about Barbie and Ken?
a lot.
Yeah. Binkley, did you do a live show during the debate, or was
We
it a
did, yeah.
reaction?
And Trump
Nice.
actually came on right after the debate and speak with us. So it was
Wow,
nice.
that's very good get for y'all. That's impressive.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Government
Look,
and
I mean,
Donald Trump
his
certainly should
his
not be
energy is
telling a woman
completely
what to
different
do
than it was
with
last
her
go around.
body. I have
Like,
talked with
it
women
was better in the
around
Biden
our
debate,
country. You wanna talk
but
about
it
this
still
is
wasn't
people
what it was in
wanted?
2016 or
Pregnant
2020.
women who
And
want to
Yeah.
carry
now it's
pregnancy to
he's
term,
just
suffering
looks
from a
sad
miscarriage,
and
being
lonely.
denied care in
He-
an
I-
emergency
yeah,
room
he's
because
a-
healthcare providers are afraid they might go to
The
jail,
first part of the debate,
sleeping out in a car in the
I thought
parking lot.
the whole thing for him was
Her husband did
they were
that.
just going to try and be provoking
Yeah.
because there's no substance there, and that for him to not give them anything. And I feel like the first half of the debate, he did a great job of, he didn't look at her. He
Yeah.
didn't say anything that would give her a reason to say her pre-planned clapbacks. That's all she did was pre-planned clapbacks and talking
Yeah.
points. And then he got a little intense, which I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I think a lot of people who are watching us said, I'm mad about the same things he's mad about. So maybe that audience appreciated it. But once he started getting a little intense, it was like, okay, so this is where the media is going to say. He was baited by Kamala, who was like smiling and doing finger bombing herself or whatever when this happened. And that is, they ran with the whole Ohio dog thing and said Trump took the bait and Kamala was so perfect. Kamala was nervous. She was empty, had no substance. And it was interesting because even CNN was talking about how unfair the moderators were. They didn't say unfair. They said there were some people in on Trump's side who were upset that the moderators kept fact-checking him and didn't do any fact-checking of Kamala. And they were just openly admitting it. And they were like, but that was a great strategy for Kamala. I'm like, what, to have the moderators in her bag? Yeah, that is a great strategy.
There couldn't be a better strategy, I don't think,
Yeah.
for someone who actually doesn't know how to debate. I mean, let's not forget the last time she actually had a debate that mattered. Her campaign was ruined within 10 seconds by Tulsi
Right.
Gabbard. Like, she's
Yeah.
not good at this, and she's just not a good person, and it can be pointed out so easily. And she's just not good at this, man. Like, just listen to her talk for 10 minutes in an interview. Just what was it? Who gave the first interview of her since she started running for president?
CNN, Dana Bash, shovel-faced Dana Bash, Donna Bash, actually.
Is it Donna Bash?
Well, that's what Kamala, which I think was a nod to how people pronounce Kamala's name wrong. Kamala at one point goes Dana Bash.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, like
Doesn't
that
it
whole
seem like-
interview. Go ahead, Zach.
doesn't it seem a little bit like it doesn't matter that she's awful? Because it's like she
It
was
doesn't.
awful. She lost the primary to Tulsi and everybody else. I think she had to drop out first. And then she called Joe Biden racist and then got chosen as his VP.
That's why she gets
does
chosen.
an awful job and she gets chosen as president. Like, it really doesn't matter that she sucks.
That
Like,
was
she
Joe Biden's
all-
anti-racist path he was on. He had to select someone who called him racist.
Yeah. So it's like she might just suck this bad into the White House. Well, I mean, she's already
Or
there.
this
but in
good. She might
addition
suck this good into the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously. Sorry, I was.
Which Jake Tapper said before the debate that there's no evidence that Kamala Harris traded sexual favors to rise politically. He said it with a straight face. I was pretty impressed by that.
But yeah, I mean, during that, like, she just can't be left alone. I mean, she literally had her VP babysit her during that her first interview.
Yeah, and you don't really want to be babysitted by that guy either. I don't think.
No, you don't. Didn't we ask that question? Didn't you ask that question to people on the street? Or was it Biden and Trump?
It was
the first
Biden.
time?
I might have asked Tim, but I definitely did ask Biden. But that'd be another good question. He's definitely somebody else that I would not feel comfortable.
But I also
Minor
would
being around.
I would never feel comfortable with JD Vance being anywhere.
Yeah, I
near
wouldn't feel
Kyle.
comfortable with him being around Minor either. Nobody really in politics.
None of these people. Yeah. RFK, he'll keep him getting vaccinated. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
he probably has too many drugs still laying around his house from when he was young and wild.
Yeah, your kid will lose their virginity because some hookers or something will come over with RFK babysitting.
Yeah. I didn't prepare for the debate. Like, I didn't prepare to go on the show or anything like that. It just, nothing happened. There's nothing of substance. No one said anything really real.
Yeah.
Or anything that they're actually going to back up with policy. And what's crazy is, like, RFK basically joined Trump's campaign, like a month ago, and not one mention of anything that RFK once was mentioned during that debate. That was strange.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, no MAGA or whatever they're saying for that.
Make America healthy again.
Yeah, none of that.
I thought it was funny when Trump said that he would not. He talked about his abortion position and then how he's not doing the Project 2025 stuff and how it's left to the states. And then immediately following that, Kamala was like, Trump is going to do a national abortion ban. It's in Project 2025. Which they just wanted the clips. They just need the clips of her saying that they'll show to her supporters.
Yeah. It looks. You froze like it was the funniest thing. I didn't even realize it for a minute. But.
That's so funny. Yeah. Keep in mind, I'm on Starlink up here right now, and it's not a good positioning of Starlink. So it's the connection goes out about every 10 to 15 minutes for about 10 seconds. So
Yeah.
I'll try to make a similar face next time that happens.
That was perfect, though. That was perfect for the moment.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I was even saying at this point.
He also, one thing Trump did say that was correct is he correctly talked about what Garland Favorito always talks about, which is the cases, the 60 cases they say were thrown out, because that came up in a question about all the cases for 2020. And Trump pointed out that they were thrown out on procedure, on process and standing, and not reviewed on the merits, which is true. But they continue to peddle that propaganda talking point that there's no credit to any of the claims that there were problems with the 2020 election because of these cases, which none of them were reviewed on the merits.
Yep. Dude, they bring up these. They brought up Charlottesville. She brought up Charlottesville.
I know. It's so crazy. I don't even
How
care.
is that still in this? Like, how is that still in? People believe that. I don't understand. Like, at what point in time? And Trump tried to make it very clear. For once, he's never actually said the entire quote on stage before, but he said it last night. He's like, if you watch the entire clip, I rebuked that whole thing and, all that. And, like, at what point that kind of thing, the idea that many people still believe Charlottesville, like the whole Charlottesville thing actually happened, the way the media has portrayed it, that to me is a very big black pill. Like, it's like even after 8 years, we still can't convince people what actually happened when we have literal proof of what happened.
Well, then they say, if you show it to him, they'll say, well, he meant it. This is what he meant.
Yeah.
which Joe
very
Biden
well.
has started saying. He started rearranging the way he says it to say it that way. And this whole debate was very clear because she responded to nothing, like saying the abortion thing, despite what Trump just said, and the January 6th thing, and the facial reactions that they said, we don't care what Trump says. We are going for clippability because most of the audience is going to reach is going to come through CNN and MSNBC. We're simply going to show the clips of you reacting and the clips of you saying the things we want them to hear. Because there was no like active listening and response going on. It was totally playing towards the afterplay of talking points.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Does the live debate matter at all? Like, is there a single person who would tune into that who doesn't already have their mind made up?
I don't think
And then the rest of it is just, can you get a 1 minute clip that makes the other side look bad? And that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're 100%. I thought one of the funnier memes or cartoons that came from it was Cat Turd posted it. It's a guy drowning in quicksand and says 3+ years of Harris policies, and she's yelling at Trump, "You're fine. He's lying to you."
Trump's holding the stick out. That's funny.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one. I think that's actually our thumbnail for the night. So
we had the one lady at Dragon Con who, when I asked, she said she was for Harris. Right before I gave her a penis straw, I said, "Why do you like Harris?" And she said, "Because she's going to get us out of all the financial problems that people are in."
Yeah, she did say that. She did say that as if Harris couldn't actually play a hand in that in this exact moment, like right now, for the past 3 years. It's unbelievable. She's running on fixing things, and she's literally part of the current administration. How do you even get past that? How do you move past that in order to be all on board and excited about Harris? Like, I don't understand.
This is a grand sociology, social science experiment that 100 years from now, people will read about, where they were able to convince all of these people that the person who is currently in office is going to fix the problems of the current administration. And just the brainwashing expose will be done on this.
Yeah, this might actually be the great experiment of America. Like, yeah. What'd you say?
It's definitely an optimistic view because, like, it just as likely that our kids will be learning about the greatest president ever.
That's
President
true.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, and how they stopped the Nazis that started in Charlottesville. Trump, like it'll be Trump was driving the car that killed the girl. They'll superimpose photos of Trump's face on like some of the people breaking the windows at the Capitol.
Exactly. Yeah, basically ended World War III before it happened.
Here's Trump going into a school in Georgia, a superimposed face of him as that 14-year-old kid.
Oh man, it's just a wild time. Like I don't know what's going to happen. I was convinced after the assassination attempt that Trump was going to win, and I'm no longer convinced.
I don't think they'll let him win. I think he's going to win the vote.
Yeah.
So even talking to people at Dragon Con, you're going to see more people who are for Kamala in the video that I posted, just because that's where the funniest stuff was.
Yeah.
But it was pretty even, like people shouting out Trump, Kamala when we were just walking through the line, just asking people. It wasn't like it was all the way Kamala. So that, and then Ian and I infiltrated this Stop Project 2025 rally this past weekend, which I'm still working on the clips of that. Pretended to be a new organization. I was looking for a lanyard to make a fake press pass, and all I could find was like this thing from a Medieval Times that I got to, and I was like, "Oh, we're the Medieval Times, and our goal is to inform young voters about how if Project 2025 is implemented after Trump's elected, then this country's going back to the medieval times, and they're going to lose all their rights." And that's what I told them, and they all loved it. Never mind, my press pass might have been written in crayon. It was so ridiculous. They all loved it, and they accepted us. And it was maybe 24 people who they had rallied to get together, who the entire time they had a guy with bullhorn who kept going, "Come on, guys, just 30 more minutes. We got to make it look like we're excited." And this was the most enthusiasm I had seen from Kamala, and it was all fabricated and intended to look like enthusiasm. At one point, Ian and I were the only thing keeping these people excited. And so it's all fabricated to me. I don't believe it. I don't believe it here. I don't believe it in the other states. One thing, they don't tell people when and where Kamala is going to appear. They select them. and they bring them there. They even showed that in Georgia. So you say that about other states, like, no, they're not being busted. Yeah, they are. You're not allowed to go to an event unless you're chosen. And so I think Trump's going to win if it's real, but I think they're going to steal it.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that, actually. I do think the mere fact that people were voicing the fact that they are Trump supporters at an event like Dragon Con was strange. Like that is not the type of place where standing in a line with people hate Trump, and you're out there yelling that you're going to support Trump and you're a huge Trump supporter.
A guy with a ball gag in his mouth.
A guy with a ball gag in his mouth wearing a White Dudes for Harris shirt. It's great. Yeah, that I do think that Trump has far more of the popular support than Harris ever could. Like, I don't really know anybody who actually likes Harris. I just know a lot of people who don't like Trump, and that's kind of what it comes down to, I guess.
Right. And that's what they say. Many of them, when you ask, why are you going to vote for Harris? Because she's not Trump.
Yep. Which is just the saddest way to vote. There's not a sadder way, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The debate was a shit show, and I hated it. The drinking was fun, and hanging out with Swampcast was great. Yeah, I highly recommend y'all go check out Swampcast. That's a fun podcast
for sure.
Yeah. Anybody else got anything to say about the debates?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, then let's go. Today, friend of the show, Mr. Dave Benner, was retweeted by Elon Musk.
Wow. That's cool.
Huge get. And he also posted this today talking about Ron Paul. We're going to watch a little 2-minute video of Ron Paul predicting 9/11. For those who don't know, the anniversary of 9/11 was yesterday because today is 9/12.
Are you saying he's a truther?
He's a 9/11 truther, I think, but a pre-truther.
Yeah, right.
And
so
by the way,
we
only had Binkley for 30 minutes, so he might have to go.
I can watch this video and then I'll dip out after.
All right, sounds good. Here we go.
I don't see that we have the authority to all of a sudden impose our system of justice across the entire world. I do not think it's effective. I think it drums up more anti-American hostility more than it achieves justice.
It has nothing to do with national security. Matter of fact, our national security is more jeopardized by permitting this to happen because we're liable to start a war. We're liable to have our military men killed. We're liable to have more attacks on us by terrorists.
Our foolish policy in Iraq invites terrorist attacks against U.S. territory and incites the Islamic fundamentalists against us.
Our foreign policy of military interventionism has brought us death and destruction to many foreign lands and loss of life for many Americans. From Korea and Vietnam to Serbia, Iran, Iraq, and now Afghanistan, we have ventured far from our shores in search of wars to fight. There is no evidence that this policy serves the interests of world peace. It certainly increases the danger to all Americans as we become the #1 target of terrorists.
Our arrogant policy and attitude of superiority will continue to elicit a smoldering hatred toward us, and out of sheer frustration will motivate even more terrorist attacks against us.
We don't have to watch all that, but yeah, I mean, he had it right for the 6 years leading up to 9/11. Like
that July of 2021 was that last clip. That's crazy.
2001.
2001, excuse me. Yeah.
That'd been 20 years too late, Binkley.
Right. Yeah, that would have been a little late. Yes, it was right before.
He may be a time traveler. I mean, he has to be to know all that.
He used to go on Art Bell all the time trying to warn people.
Yeah.
Especially all in line for time travelers too.
Yeah. I love now how they use a 9/11 truther as a smear. Which they're doing today in the news about Laura Loomer, and then Jesse the Body Ventura just like a month ago endorsed Kamala, like one of the most famous people who challenged the 9/11 narrative.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. Like, lot of Americans died that day. It was a really rough day. Most people know exactly where they were. But it was not, people acted as though this came without warning. And it's just because nobody was actually paying attention to what one of the smartest people to ever work in the government was saying. He was trying to tell everybody this is what was going to happen. And he was exactly right yet again. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a time when Ron Paul wasn't right at this point. Like he's just been right about so many things. We played a montage of clips for about 15 years of his like time in the government, and he just predicted everything that you see today. It's wild.
And he's also the only congressman to ever hit an over the wall home run in the congressional baseball game.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
That arguably might be a bigger accomplishment than everything else he's ever done.
Another thing I remember was George Bush, I think, who said, never could see, nobody could even thought of crashing airplane into a building before, when there had been literally like years of plans about airplanes and buildings being flown into a building. And also shortly before 9/11 happened, the pilot for The Lone Gunman, the X-Files spinoff, was about the lone gunman in an airplane going towards the World Trade Center and narrowly averting running it into the World Trade Center towers and saving it. Like, so it's literally on a television pilot. He's like, nobody ever thought of this before.
And not to mention the fact that there were literal kamikaze pilots during World War II.
Right, exactly.
That did this regularly. Like this was a thing.
Accidentally run into buildings plenty. All planes,
they didn't think of it. It was an accident, though. So
Well, Binkley, before you have to head out, tell folks where to find you, because.
At Freedom Act Radio on X, youtube.com/Brad Binkley, at Rumble, at The Prop Report, and Propaganda Fight is my website. So that covers the gamut, I believe. There's a link tree on my Twitter, too, that has everywhere.
Frick yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Always enjoy it.
Absolutely. I highly recommend going to watch Binkley's stuff. Sometimes I'll do some man on the street stuff with him. Go be
great camera work. We've done. I've done some. Zach, we've done some together. Jake, we've done some together. And thank you guys for like great catching great moments. Like Jake, when I'm talking to the guy who's all uppity, like you can tell the people want to talk to you. Like I don't know who would want to come up to a guy with one of those like face, like bondage things in their mouths and talk to him simply because they have a white dude for Harris shirt on, but people wanted to. And the guy's talking about how public school teachers are better than homeschoolers. I did prompt him with that question, and then I say, "Well, I'm a public school teacher," and he kind of like hesitated, but he knew he had to go with it. And he was like, "Well, you'd probably do a better job than me." And like your camera work like panned over to me right when he said that, and it just shows me with the bondage thing in my mouth. It was perfect.
It was all so funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it was really good.
Go check out the LARPing as white dudes for Harris.
It's at the top of my Twitter right now.
Yeah, highly recommend.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of your show. I'll talk to you guys later.
Will do. See you, Binkley. All right, y'all. That was Brad Binkley. Yeah, seriously, go watch his stuff, because he just pushes it to the limit. He just, like, we go to these events, and he tries to see how far he can go before somebody actually says something and like objects to what he's doing. And so far, no one's objected to anything. And he at one point gave an entire interview with a full-on ball gag in his mouth. So like, I don't understand a world where nobody can actually speak up. I don't know. Zach, what do you think that is? Like, before we get into the 9/11 stuff, like fully, like, what do you think it is about people not wanting, being so afraid of like judging people or coming off as judging?
Well, I guess they don't want the blowback that they think they're going to get. But I mean, it's not there. You're not going to get chastised for being like, dude, what do you have a ball gag in your mouth? Take it out if you want to talk to me. Yeah. That's the normal thing that, a human would say. But yeah, I think people have built it up in their mind of like, oh, if I don't appear tolerant, then I'm going to have this and that bad thing happen to me, or people around me are going to look at me funny. I'm going to be put on the spot. But if I'm just nice to this person and accept them, even though they're muttering through a ball gag to talk to me, then I'll get off scot-free. It'll be fine. It'll be over. So
Yeah, Brian says it's actually really common. If you simply act as though you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, most people will go along with it. I just find that to be so incredibly sad. Like,
I mean, that's the emperor has no clothes type thing. It's like,
yeah.
this guy is not talking to me in a transparently ridiculous manner right now. It's like they just had to turn it off. Be like, I don't notice things.
Dude, it's so strange. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the Dragon Con. Just wait till he comes out with more of that stuff, because it is, well, I don't know if he's going to post more. I guess he'll post more from the Project 2025 protests from last weekend. But man, just being on the street with Binkley, watching how he does it and how bold he is doing all of this it's very impressive. He's a very impressive dude. So y'all go give him a follow. Freedom Act Radio is his X handle.
Yeah, he deserves way more attention. Like, I don't know what it is. I remember back in the day when I was in college and I was like kind of a newish libertarian. I consumed like everybody who was doing this type of stuff, and it was like very popular at the time. And I don't know if it's just there's too much content now or what, but it's like he should be huge because he's hilarious. He's so talented.
I mean, I think he's bigger than what we realize just because we're close to him now. Like, I think he's got a pretty massive following on Spotify.
All right.
I think that's his biggest platform.
He should stop being so nice to us. It freaks me out.
Well, I think it took us about 2 years of interacting with him for him to believe that we're not feds. I think that's his biggest hang up with people is he showed up to the Libertarian National Convention and just assumed literally everyone there was a Fed and wouldn't talk to anybody for a while.
I mean, probably had a decent hit rate. I mean,
he probably would. It's probably 50%. One of the best memes from yesterday, it's an older one, but it still works. The Patriot Act was the biggest violation of your rights in modern American history. It is, for those just listening, this is the plane flying into the World Trade Center, and the World Trade Center has the Bill of Rights on it, and the plane is the Patriot Act. Yeah.
And this is what the left was back then. Like, this would be a very like early 2000s leftist meme. Not anymore.
Not anymore, man. Not anymore. Lots and lots, understandably so, of posts about 9/11 yesterday. Your Roots of Freedom says, never forget, my fellow Americans, what our government has done to us and our country. Also, look, I know Twitter isn't the place for good grammar and good punctuation, but for the love of God, start using commas, everybody. Just use commas. Otherwise, I have no idea what you're saying. And it takes me a second to read the tweet.
I think too many is better than not enough.
Too many is far better than not enough.
Yeah.
They laundered $2.3 billion. They claimed WMDs. They initiated the Patriot Act. They unleashed the unconstitutional TSA. They killed 2,996 fellow Americans on 9/11. They took down Tower 7, not hit by a plane. I could go on, but the real tragedy is that so many Americans still believe the lies surrounding that day. Wake up. Couldn't agree more. I mean, this whole thing. Donald Rumsfeld holds a press conference to state that the Pentagon was missing more than $2.3 trillion. And that was on September 10th. And September 11th, a plane happened to hit the Pentagon where all those files were being stored. It's wild how people just completely assume. Oh my gosh, Grumpy, you're such a twat, man. I'm gonna stop using commas altogether. Thank you for that, Grumpy. It's just unbelievable how people can still fully 100% believe that there's nothing fishy about 9/11. Like, I understand not believing that it's an inside job or that we orchestrated it or whatever, but you have to at least consider the fact that there are inconsistencies and strange things that happened that day that probably should not have happened. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Zach?
I don't know. Like, I'm definitely one of those where it's like I see all the fishiness, I just don't know what to think about it. Like, there's no theory that I've settled on where I'm like, this is it, this is the one. And if anything, I think I tend to lean more towards the Scott Horton or Ron Paul side of things, where it's like, yeah, it was a conspiracy. It was a conspiracy of 19 hijackers who did it. And maybe the government knew something, or maybe they, failed or were incompetent. But then there are things that doesn't explain. Like, I don't get Tower 7, but I also don't have an answer for you.
Yeah.
So
no, that is
I've not gone as deep into this as maybe I should have, but.
Well, I mean, no one has gone as deep as Alden and Steven. So like, we're not going to be able to compete with them. But like, oh, dang, I just lost my train of thought. It's just, yeah, it's a weird scenario where, yes, things seem fishy, but you can't really put your finger on anything. There's no like concrete proof that I've been shown that demonstrates one thing or another. It's just like a lot of that day was chaos all around. And like, I don't know, maybe chaos breeds more chaos and just random crap started happening. Like, I don't friggin' know. I don't know all the laws of physics or the laws of space time.
I do think it like invites conspiracy theories a lot of times where there are none too. And I don't necessarily even mean in this scenario, because I bet there are lies mixed in. But it's just like something can happen in front of all of our faces, and then the government's reaction and behavior afterwards can make us be like, wait, did that really happen the way we just saw it? Or is it darker because now they're acting sketchy? It's like, no matter what, they always seem to like act in a way where you're like, there's definitely something else going on there.
Yeah. They definitely do not act in a way, especially long term, in a way that breeds confidence that they'll do it better the next time.
Yeah.
Like in the moment, like everybody always talks about this, how like that George W. Bush speech from Ground Zero was like a moment that brought everybody in the country together. Republicans, Democrats, whatever you were, you were an American.
We were both kids, but I bet you loved George Bush. I did too.
I loved George Bush in that moment for sure.
I named my ferret after Rudolph Giuliani. Like,
well, he is a little ferret, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Now I'm still happy with it, but
but for different reasons. Yeah. No, but it brought everybody together, and like I think everybody looks back on 9/11 with obviously a bunch of sorrow, a bunch of sadness, but also a bunch of there is patriotism that people still feel about that moment, and like a community that America kind of felt like it came together as one, and rather than being at each other's throats. And what is so disgusting about that is that it was taken advantage of in the worst possible ways that it could have been taken advantage of. Like everybody always wants Republicans and Democrats to come together and like go across the aisle and make compromises and things like that. That's when the worst things happen in government. Like we're going to go over a couple of them here in a second, but nothing good happens when all Republicans and Democrats in the government agree to do something.
Yeah.
That's only good for them and their friends. It is never good for the American people. George Carlin did have a bit about that back in the day. Grumpy said he hated both Bushes. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Brian,
he's been grumpy a long time.
Brian, I don't know how old Brian is, so I don't know if he's my age.
A year older than me, so
okay. So I grew up one neighborhood over from George W. Bush's house. So like we were in George W. Bush country. I went to his rallies. Like, I was in high school going to his rallies and stuff. And it was fun at the time. And now I regret that to no end. Like I finally threw away my W sticker that I had from that thing like 5 years ago. Anyway, let's talk about another Dave Benner tweet. Here we go. Dave Benner's on a freaking roll. If you don't follow Dave Benner, he is one of the best follows on X. DBenner83 is his handle. Highly recommend that guy.
And just a cool guy, by the way.
Super cool guy. He's been on the show a few times. Super cool guy. Hopefully we'll have him back on again soon. Sorry, I got something in my dadgum eye. Good Lord. I don't know what it was. Anyway, he tweeted, in the days after 9/11, Dick Cheney's office unveiled Stellar Wind, the code name for a warrantless surveillance program under the George W. Bush administration's President's Surveillance Program. They justified this through constant warnings that there were teams of sleeper cells in the U.S., and this required everyone to sacrifice their privacy rights for security. Snowden explains how this served as a precedent for the NSA mass surveillance here. And we're going to watch this video real quick. It's 1 minute, 43 seconds.
But what happened in the wake of 9/11 was a whole bunch of government officials got together behind closed doors. And this was actually led, interestingly enough, by the Vice President of the United States, Cheney. Everybody remembers that name, or hopefully can look that name up, Dick Cheney, and his personal attorney. And this lawyer, David Addington, wrote a secret legal interpretation that no one else was allowed to see. It was kept in the vice president's safe at the White House. They told them, the White House and the Office of Legal Counsel and, the president's attorneys, all of these guys had decided this would be legal to do. But we can't tell you why. We can't show you the legal authorization for it. You just got to take our word for it. And so they did this, and this became a mass surveillance program called Stellar Wind, which they said was supposed to monitor the phone calls and internet communications, emails, and things like that of everybody in the United States and around the world who they could get access to for links to Al-Qaeda. Because if you remember, in the wake of the September 11th attacks, they were saying, we thought there could be sleeper cells of Al-Qaeda that were just, peppered all throughout the country, and they were going to spring up at any moment. Of course, like weapons of mass destruction, it just didn't exist. It was all a power grab. But what happened was step by step by step, our constitutional rights were changed. And we weren't allowed to know it. We were never granted a vote on it. And even the many members of Congress, right, 535 in the United States, they were prohibited from knowing this.
So there you go. That's Edward Snowden talking about the birth of Stellar Wind. And Zach, you run the Banished Big Brother podcast, which is all about government surveillance. Have y'all hit it all? Have y'all had any episodes about Stellar Wind yet?
No, we really haven't gotten into stuff on like national sort of level surveillance. We tend to talk about, smart cities and like automated license plate readers and things like that are more close to home. And the few times we have brought up, sort of more national level stuff, I don't know that we have the most to say about it, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. And let's see, I don't even remember which one Stellar Wind is, but there's a lot of these that came post 9/11. And a lot of different NSA programs. Like I remember there was Prism, and there was, they just give some of them the worst names too. Like we've talked about one that was like called Total Information Awareness.
Sorry, my internet went out for a second, so apologies on that. It's pouring rain here, and that really messes with this person's Starlink because it's just a poorly placed Starlink. Anyway. Yeah, can you recap what you just talked about?
I was just saying, I haven't hit on this specifically, and when we talk about like national level stuff, we're maybe not the best experts. We've been talking about stuff that's close to home, like smart city surveillance and, the propaganda in the news about like selling you on this and selling your city council on it, and like all this stuff that's going on, where they're bringing these national programs like to our front door, where you can't really drive down the street without passing an automated license plate reader that knows you're going, which direction you're going in and how you come home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, the specifics of like these programs, maybe I could be reminded of them, but I don't know them off the top of my head.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is just one of the things that came from 9/11. Like, this is one of the things that Republicans, Democrats all came together on. It's all these people behind the scenes passing these or implementing these policies. People that we didn't vote for, people that we don't know or hold office. You can't really look them up in a directory, or if you can, you don't actually know what they do. It's
made a lot of them very rich.
It's made a lot of them extremely rich. They use these massive moments, these devastating moments, things hurt, like tragedies, to play on your emotions and convince you that what they want is in your best interest. And it almost never is. It's always in their best interest. And who was it? It's just, I don't know who it is, but somebody the other day just basically said that every single person that works in government is evil. And it's times like this, it's like actions like this that make you kind of want to believe that. Because I don't necessarily believe that on a personal level. Like, there's no way everybody in government's evil. Like, I'm not going to, just because you are in a position of power and got elected for something does not mean you are evil. I think there are definitely a high amount that are not looking out for the people who elect them. High percentage. And yeah, Brian says some people are just there for the paycheck. Very true, which means they can be bought.
You have to separate it out too. Like, are we talking about elected people, or like are we talking about teachers? Because I can't believe not every teacher is evil.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely more the people in positions of power that make rules for everybody else. And I definitely do not think most teachers are evil.
Yeah.
In fact, I would find it hard to believe that. I generally don't think that people are evil. I just think that most people are broken or hurt, or there's some that are sociopathic or psychopathic, but that's a very small minority. Maybe those are all the ones that find their way in the government.
Yeah. Well, I think they do gravitate towards it. I'm not kidding. I think everybody has the capacity for evil. And we have a thing called civilization that kind of keeps us in line, and we recognize after a while that, hey, this is actually a good idea and I want to keep it going too. So I'm going to follow a lot of the rules that kind of keep the wheels from falling off. But yeah, I do think when there's sociopaths and psychopaths or whatever, they are drawn towards positions that they can abuse.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the abuse of power that's the problem, but it's like that the power exists to abuse to begin with.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. That's why libertarians are fighting for a smaller government, because the smaller government is, the less it can be abused to hurt people on a massive scale. And yeah, if they don't have the policies and the people and the agencies in place to enforce what they want to do to people and enforce the fact that your rights are being taken away or what have you, we would all be much freer in a small government world. And government never gets smaller. It just doesn't. I can't remember. I don't think there's been a time in my life, a single presidency, a single year, a single day of a single presidency where our government has gotten smaller. Unless we had a Ron Paul presidency, I don't think that would happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And people like to bring up, Clinton, and I'm too young to have really paid attention during that time, but people are like, oh, he had a balanced budget or no deficit or something. I don't know. But the power of government, the scope and size of government definitely grew. It's like, yeah, maybe you can cite budget numbers at me that we were better off then than we were post 9/11. And, Bush was supposed to be small government and he spended like crazy, and same with Trump and same with everybody else. But I think you're correct that every president has grown the size and scope of government since we've been alive, and probably for much longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I don't understand the Republicans who think that their party is all about small government and like fiscal responsibility and all this garbage, because that I've never seen that actually take place. Like I've never seen any evidence that they conserve anything or they keep government spending to a minimum.
No.
What do you think of the possibility of Elon Musk being appointed Department of Governmental Efficiency?
I mean, on the surface, that sounds cool, and I'm always, willing to try whatever. Like, yeah, let's see if that works out. I'm skeptical though. We'll see, because sometimes I do think it takes somebody with a, libertarian outlook, or really even a anarchist sort of outlook on what the nature of government really is, to make a difference and to not get sucked into the Borg. And I know Elon is, a defense contractor and heavily makes his money off the government in a lot of ways, even though I do like the guy. So we'll see. I guess just my natural, like, I'm optimistic, which never works out, and I'm skeptical, which, maybe saves me the pain later.
Yeah, that's a good outlook to have with anything government related, anything out of your control. Be optimistic but skeptical. That's a great one. I mean, he did go into Twitter and acts like 80% of the staff and still maintains a running Twitter. So like he could do it. It's just the question of, will he be allowed to do it? Because you don't know what's behind the scenes. Like Trump said he was going to release the JFK files. He didn't. Trump said all these different things. He said he was going to end wars, and people basically went behind his back and didn't allow that to happen. So I don't know what happens to a president once they become president, but clearly, very few of them actually keep to their campaign promises.
And they seem to have a really big bag of tricks to stop things from changing. Because like, it's one thing to fire Twitter employees who, next week they're working for freaking Yahoo. I don't know. That's not a very current company, but you know what I mean. They're working for
they're coming back, man. Yahoo's somewhere. Coming back.
But like, it's another thing to get rid of government employees who may not have very transferable skills, and there's these like democratic machines and unions and just all these things behind them that are willing to cause some freaking trouble. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, maybe we won't see. I mean, Binkley doesn't think they're going to let Trump get in. So
I think I might agree with him. So I hope I'm wrong.
I kind of hope I'm wrong too. Who the frick knows, man? There are moments when I think I know what's about to happen, and then some random thing will happen, and I'm like, well, now I have no clue. I couldn't predict a dadgum thing. I guess that's just the nature of the future. I'm not a soothsayer. Well, yeah. Do we have anything else to say about looking back on 9/11 and the ramifications from it? I mean, I assume most people out there know about the Patriot Act. If you don't know about the Patriot Act, go look it up, because that was one of the most horrendous things to ever be perpetrated on the American public. It basically ended our privacy. Like 9/11 ended any right to, not right, but any perceived right to privacy that you think you had. And yeah, Zach's show talks about this every single week. It's called Banished Big Brother, and they talk about government surveillance and how it impacts you on a very individual level. Zach, what do you think the argument that I get all the dadgum time when I say that I'm trying to privacy base my life and all this kind of stuff, the thing that I get is, why would they care about you if you're not doing anything wrong? Can you, I know that you and Elizabeth have addressed that on Banished Big Brother. Can you speak to that for a minute?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of ways to attack that. I mean, for one, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't be subjected to people, peeping in on you and just checking up anyway. But then also, it's not true. There are times where people are doing absolutely nothing wrong and they just get caught up in a surveillance dragnet, which tends to be what they like to do, where rather than, pinpointing information like, oh, we're going after this guy, so let's go after this guy. They like to do these things like, well, let's put a camera on the side of the street that logs everybody's movements, or let's work with AT&T to capture everybody's cell phone information, rather than the more old gumshoe, we're going after this one guy in particular and we're going to take down this. So a good example of this, it's actually up on banishedbigbrother.com right now, written by Mike Meharry, about something that happened years ago where this police department thought it was a good idea to stake out the local like nursery, basically like the plant store, because people were buying hydroponic equipment and growing weed. So they're like, well, if anybody is buying hydroponic equipment, it's basically just to grow weeds. So we're going to use this area as our surveillance and find all the weed dealers in the area. And instead, this dad who was growing tomatoes with his son in his basement got caught up in it. The police came and searched their trash and found tea leaves and got a warrant based on that. And then, kick in their door and find a bunch of tomatoes growing. That person didn't do anything wrong. They got caught up in a surveillance dragnet, and it resulted with police coming through their door. Yeah. So, I don't buy that at all. I think if you're not doing anything wrong, you deserve to be left alone. 100%. And, if there is evidence and suspicion that you're doing something wrong, they should go after that person, not go after everybody and then comb through the data to find out who's doing bad things later.
100%, man. 100%. And yeah, for that story where they broke into that family's house, I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen a police raid, but they are not gentle. They do not take care of your property when they're rifling through it. They break your door. They very well could hurt you. They could kill your pet if your pet happens to run at them. We've seen that hundreds of times.
We've seen them kill pets that are in kennels.
Yeah. It's wild. These are not things that can't happen to you. It could absolutely happen to you. And the more that they start using this, the more likely it will be to happen to normal people who are literally doing nothing wrong. It's a horrendous way to live life, and it's a terrible, terrible overstep of the government. Yeah. Well, y'all, yeah, that's those are the ramifications that we're going to talk about from 9/11, because they have to do with us. We could talk about all the endless wars that have happened. That war lasted 20 freaking years. That'll be for another episode. So we're going to move on.
Things.
There's so many bad things that came from 9/11. So yeah, we might just wind Alden up one night and just turn him loose. Just have him go to town. Him and Steven just host their own show one night and just talk about that for 6 hours. All right, we're going to talk about something hilarious, which is Biden put on a Trump 2024 hat during a rally. You can watch the full video. Here's just the 3-second clip down here of him putting it on. Y'all, the full video of this is extremely painful to watch. It is this. There's a guy down here who gave him the hat, and they had a full 1.5-minute conversation where Biden barely was coherent at all the entire time. I'm trying to find it, see if anybody posted it down here, but I don't think he understood anything of what was actually going on. And he put on this Trump hat and signed another hat for this guy.
He signed a MAGA hat or a Trump hat?
I can't remember if it was a Trump hat, but he signed another hat that this guy had.
Yeah. Well, these people don't seem to be sitting around with Kamala hats or anything. So,
dude, this is the guy who is president of our country right now. And he just, as Shane Gillis would say, he Roombas around the stage and doesn't actually know where he's going. Puts on a Trump hat. He's supposed to be the one running the country. I don't understand. How has it gotten to this?
This behavior makes it real hard sometimes to remember that he's been a real piece of crap his entire life. Now you almost are like, oh, sweet old man doesn't know what he's doing, but
Yes.
no, he's still he sucks.
Dude, it's honestly, sometimes it is extremely difficult to not like full on pity him. Like maybe if his brain's not complete, like not there at all anymore, then maybe I could pity him because it's completely different brain, different human at that point. Like
I guess
maybe, but man,
I'd
he
want to
did-
see some remorse. We're not going to see that.
I don't know. Buzz Aldrin kind of went crazy and started getting remorseful when he got dementia and couldn't remember if they landed on the moon. So maybe we'll get a
Or is
remorseful
that a
Biden.
conspiracy?
Or is that a conspiracy?
Well,
No.
the reason I say that is because I think it was Buzz Aldrin who was saying that there is an obelisk on the moons of Jupiter or something. So maybe they were just like, nope, he's crazy now. Don't pay attention to him. But also have no idea what it would mean if there was an obelisk on the moons of Jupiter. So
It just means that Stanley Kubrick shot 2001 Space Odyssey on Jupiter. That's all that means.
the real moon landing was on the moons of Jupiter. That's the conspiracy theory. All right. We lost Jake again for a second. So I'll assume he's just still laughing. This is what I was afraid of. Okay, you're back. Awesome.
Don't be afraid, Zach. Don't be afraid. You just vamp for 15 seconds and you'll be good.
Well, I was afraid of losing you in between topics, which is exactly what happened. I'm like, if I have a topic, I'll go for it. But if I'm like just blank, I don't know what to do.
All right. Well, let's y'all, this is going to be a very interesting one tonight, but we're going to do it anyway. If I can find the dadgum thing. We're going to do a very, very modified form of trivia. Let me get the background music going. It is going to be only 10 questions. It is Zach versus the audience. Yes, we can, because y'all are the second person, Brian. That's what we're doing. It is only 10 questions. The questions will not appear on screen. I will be reading them because I'm incredibly unprepared for tonight's episode as far as trivia goes. So let me pull up the trivia questions. And yeah, people in the audience, y'all are just going up against Zach. So this should be really, really easy. All right. Question number 1. How long is an Olympic swimming pool in meters?
122.
That is incorrect, Zach. Let's wait for the audience to...
I don't know the metric system or pools, so...
Brian is incorrect as well. Good job, Brian. Way to get one wrong. Just like, oh my gosh. Some quack is wrong as well. Oh my God. Grumpy, 300 meters? That's 3 football fields. That's crazy. Any more guesses, Zach?
Think about it like that. 50.
All right, you both get a point. It is 50.
Yeah. I should have thought the nice thing about the metric system is you don't get like 122s. You usually get a pretty even number. But...
Grumpy's still saying larger numbers.
It's just a circle.
Let's see. What geometric shape is generally used for stop signs?
An octagon.
You're correct, man. Good job. I feel like some people would have said hexagon. All right. What is cynophobia?
Say it again.
Cynophobia. C-Y-N-O-phobia. Cynophobia. What is it, everybody?
Fear of movies. I don't know.
That's a good one, actually, but incorrect. Brian says the same thing. Fear of film.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength.
That's great. That is great. Any other guesses?
No. I don't know my Latin either, apparently.
I guess not. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to give the audience a couple more seconds. Yeah, I don't really know where this comes from. Feel of taxes. I actually don't know where this comes from either. I don't know. All right. No answers. No good answers, at least. The answer is fear of dogs.
You know, I was gonna say that one. I don't know why I didn't. For some reason, it registered in my brain, and my brain could not make sense of it. So I'm like, well, that's a dumb answer. Don't say it.
All right. Question number 3. Who named the Pacific Ocean? Or question number 4, sorry.
I just assumed God did.
Incorrect. God did not name anything, I don't think. Audience? Yeah. George Pacific. Cujo. That's where the last one comes from. That's great. You don't know any of the explorers? I'll give you all a hint. He's an explorer. If no one gets it in the next 5 seconds, I'll give another hint. All right. He was one of the first humans to circumnavigate the globe.
Magellan.
There we go. It is Ferdinand Magellan. It is actually what my company is named after, the Peaceful Sea. He named it the Peaceful Sea, and it just turned into the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, all right.
Grumpy got it after you. Because he named it the Peaceful Sea in Spanish or Portuguese or whatever he was. And so it just turned into the Pacific Ocean. Let me tally that one for Zach. Every question's worth 1 point tonight, everybody. This is the most phoned in trivia of all time. All right. Question number 5. No, that cannot be correct. How many countries still have shilling as currency?
Well, now I have to take into account your disbelief too.
No, I skipped the one that I disbelieved.
Oh, okay. I thought you read the answer and we're like, oh my gosh, 135? That's insane.
No. Everybody gets one guess, so make sure it's good.
Shilling.
Oh,
Right,
already got it. Some quack got it. It is
I wouldn't
literally
have gotten
4.
there, so it's okay.
Some quack, bonus points if you can name them. And anybody can name them.
Germany. I don't know.
I think you should be thinking of the British Empire because that's where the shilling comes from. I don't think Britain ruled over Germany at any point in history.
You never know.
Anybody?
India.
No.
They have like a rupee or something.
Yeah, they have the rupee. Yeah.
South
Germany,
Africa.
England, India, and nothing. You got none right there. England doesn't use the shilling anymore. No, Caribbean's incorrect. They're all in Africa.
South Africa.
No. All right. The answers are Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Somalia.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not know that. Let's see.
Kenya seems cool.
Yeah, I would love to go to Kenya. Which animal can be seen on the Porsche logo?
A horse.
A horse is absolutely correct. Bravo. I don't think I would have gotten that. All right. Which monarch officially made Valentine's Day a holiday in 1537?
I couldn't name a single monarch from that time. I don't know.
It's the hint will be he's British, and it is
George.
It is not King Valentine, and it is not George. Oh, that's so funny. No, it's a he. Some quack. It is funny that a woman did.
You really screwed us.
Yeah, it's funny that a woman did not create Valentine's Day, but it was a dude.
I'm just gonna start King every British name. King Henry, King Harry.
King Henry the what?
The third.
No, we're done with this.
Terrible.
Question. It's King Henry VIII did it in 1537. Who was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize in 1903?
Ada Lovelace.
No, that's a good guess, though. I like that guess. You've definitely heard of this lady.
Oh, yeah.
Audience gets it. Curie. Marie Curie.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's two.
Bravo. All right. Final question. Whoever gets this wins. Zach has 3. Audience has 3. Bravo. Way to make it to the end. The worship of Krishna is observed by which religious faith?
Hindus.
That is correct. It is Hindus. Zach wins trivia.
Yay. Instead of the actual screen, I'll just go, yeah.
Yeah, the audience, 2 people in the audience got it directly after you. So, y'all, I apologize for trivia not being as awesome as it normally is. Yeah, it's a light show tonight, so I wasn't going to plan a big one when it's just me and Zach. That would have been kind of stupid. So, apologies. I know it's not.
Someday we'll have the Jake and Zach extravaganza. Just like
there we go. All right. Let's get into waxing philosophical. Also, audience, if y'all have questions you want to throw away during this, like the rest of the time, pretty much, it's just going to be me and Zach just chatting, hanging out, talking about things that have been on our mind the past week or two. Then we'll get into the funny stuff at the very end. We have Drunkard of the Week right after this as well. So, yeah, I don't know, Zach, if what's been going on with Banished Big Brother or anything happening in your world?
Yeah, well, I mean, Banished Big Brother's been great. Like, we're trying to stay on top of it and do the podcast every week, and then content's coming out. We're officially a 501c3 now, so that's exciting. So anything people donate to us is tax deductible. Yeah, kind of still up in startup mode too. Just lots to work on and lots going on, but it's been fun.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. Yeah, y'all, if you haven't listened to their podcast, highly recommend. It's extremely informative and very good. They talk about a bunch of things that you would likely never have heard of. And you would have no idea that the government's surveilling you in these specific ways. So
yeah, I wouldn't have heard of most of them. It's not like these are already in my brain. I would go looking for it. And I'm like, holy crap, we got to talk about this.
Dude, it's wild, man. The whole thing with the NFL, like using facial recognition software, is wild. And didn't they clarify that it's only for workers of the stadium? Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, but then it turns out that that's still like the cops who come in and the paramedics who come in, like they're all expected, even if they're not like full timers at the stadium, they need to submit their face to the facial recognition. So
yeah, sorry, you missed trivia. Shockingly, Zach won. Grumpy says, "Where is the party going to be in Omaha?" It's definitely going to be at Omaha Brewing. That's where the party's going to be.
I think that might be the entirety of Omaha, by the way. So
I think it might be. Omaha is a tiny town. It barely shows up on the map. Yeah. Zach, they still think it was rigged, which I mean it kind of is.
Yeah, I'm wearing a headphone right now.
It's only rigged because there is a slight delay from us to the audience. So audience has the advantage of using the internet, although I do trust most of the audience to not do that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Me and Nikki were talking about the whole, like, whether or not Elon Musk would actually clean house if he was also the acronym of Department of Governmental Efficiency spells Doge. So
oh really?
Freaking hilarious. that he that he wants to do that. We were talking about that. Forget where that conversation led, but it was an interesting one. Yeah, I can't remember. But we're up here building a house, y'all. Me and Nikki are up here building a house in the middle of nowhere.
Going on.
I have real world stuff going on. It's pouring rain outside, which is raining all over my fresh framing, which is extremely frustrating and nerve wracking. Yeah. I'm the biggest thing I have to talk about is the Great Create, because it's literally 2 weeks away. I mean, 2 weeks from tomorrow is the Great Create's happening, and y'all gotta get your tickets and get down there. It's just going to be a really fun time. It was such a fun time last time. We're going to do I believe on Friday night, I would like to do, or Friday evening-ish, we're going to do a live podcast, and kind of have people come in and out who are there, do little short, quick interviews on that Friday night. And then the Saturday night, we'll do a live trivia that Zane has already prepared, which will be really, really cool.
And I think the main thing that's going to make this a ton of fun is just like the level of freedom we've been given. And like, that's what made last year fun too, is we found this little venue who's kind of just down for whatever. And we're, pitching them ideas like, could we do this? Could we do this? They're like, sure, go for it. And the same thing here, where it's like, they're hooking us up really well. They've been great to work with. And then every now and then, like, we'll ask them some question. We're like, surely they're not going to be down for this. And they're like, yep, go for it. That sounds fine. Like we pitched them the idea of cooking our own food outside over a fire because somebody wanted to teach a class about that. And I'm like, I almost feel stupid asking. They're just going to say no. And they're like, yeah, sure. Where do you want the fire at? So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a day of just bunch of libertarians and just some people from the community who are libertarian friendly and have a lot to share, hanging out and drinking and whatever else. And I don't know, I'm excited just for the community aspect of it. I think on top of all the fun stuff that'll be going on.
Heck yeah, man. Actually, Zach, when did you start getting into like the whole libertarianism, like the liberty world? Like how did your path lead you to where you are right now?
I don't know. It's been a long time. My dad was a libertarian too, so I kind of inherited it from him a little bit. Like he has voted libertarian every election since he was 18, and he's 70 now. So actually, this will be the first year he can't, because he now lives in Tennessee, where Chase didn't make the ballot. Wow. Which I don't think my dad was crazy to vote for him to begin with. But
interesting, man.
Yeah.
So you were born into this. That's wild.
I mean, a little bit. I didn't have to be this obsessed with it, I don't think. Like, my dad's never really been like an activist or anything. He's been like a writer and stuff at times, but he's really like me in a lot of ways, where we just like doing new and different things and trying things out and seeing what works. And at some point, I guess I, started getting it. Well, Ron Paul really inspired me to get active and do something, because, we watched all those clips earlier of Ron Paul predicting the future for like 10 minutes straight. Yeah. But really, he's not a soothsayer either. He's not reading, a crystal ball. He just pays attention to the right people. And when I saw his stuff coming true and everything he said, like made sense to me and then was unfolding in front of my eyes, I'm like, well, I want to know, what is this that makes him right about everything? Oh, it turns out it's this thing my dad is already into. And then, kind of from there, just got sucked in, reading as much as I could and watching literally everything online about Ron Paul up until, a certain year. And then in college, I got into sort of like doing the activism a little bit, even though I felt like I've never been great at it. I just do what I can, figure out as I go.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest issue is I tend to have burnout. So I'll tend to go really hard for like 3 months and then do jack squat for a couple months. Do you have like similar fluctuations, or are you just kind of even keel, just same pace the whole time?
I think it helps that I have a lot of different interests, and sometimes that means that things like I have ADD basically, where things don't always get seen through till completion. But at the same time, it's helpful that maybe I'm interested in writing a lot one month, and then the next month I'm just not feeling it, so I'll do something else. Like for the last month, I've been coding a lot, which I haven't done in like 10 years. So maybe that's not the most productive thing ever, but I feel like I did, accomplish a lot this month, and I've built some cool stuff. And maybe next month I'll be on to, another creative outlet.
Heck
And
yeah.
I just try to, overcome the ADD where it goes nowhere. And I at least try to do something with everything I create, whether it's like podcast or writing or whatever. And, I don't know, I feel like it's worth my time, even if I'm all over the place, as long as it gets out there and, maybe somebody benefits from it.
I love that, man. Hannah wants to know, do you cook from the Ron Paul family cookbook?
No, I've seen that. I should grab it and do a recipe. That'd make a good video or something.
That would. Grumpy says he got into it watching Shane Hazel's podcast. Great podcast. He hasn't done that one in a while, right? Radical.
Yeah, he's been doing Bitcoin veterans really only.
Yeah. Bitcoin veterans is his new thing. Radical may be dead at this point. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him about Radical in a while, but yeah, go over and watch his show. If you want to get into Bitcoin, his show is a great one for that. They'll give you all sorts of great information, advice. That he works for Swan Bitcoin now, so he can help you get set up with Bitcoin. Yeah, highly recommend. Shane Hazel, friend of the show, my friend, awesome dude. Yeah, he was one of the first people that I met when I got into the Liberty world, and I only met him because I tweeted at him that I want to make a documentary about you and your run for governor. So that's the only reason that happened.
Yeah, Shane's been great for especially in Georgia. I've met so many people who, were coming to our convention or just hanging out at an event or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm here because Shane Hazel." It's like he might not even be there. He's might have been at home laid up with his back injury or something, and they're just out doing activism or attending events because they identified with what he had to say so much.
Yeah, he's 100% not there, all the time. He's never there. Oh yeah, Swan Bitcoin, I forgot, is not in Texas at the moment, so they need to expand into Texas. That would be great. Let's see. Brian says Excursions into Libertarian Thought by the late George H. Smith is pretty good. I don't know that one. I'll have to check that one out. Thanks, Brian. All right, well, let's just move it along and get to the drunkard.
I am not fucking drunk.
Well, my teeth are blue.
Every pretty girl deserves to go to a ball.
This is everything about it's a clam. I love it.
I gotta be honest with you, I feel like I'm a little bit too drunk to stand up. On Wiedersehen, asshole.
I'm drunk right now.
All right, so it's a very small stage tonight. It's just me and Zach. But here is the drunkard of the week.
Sorry. I'm sorry that NFTs are securities. You can suck my little balls.
Gary Gensler here has fucked all of you over.
Listen, I just do what they tell me, the big banks.
He's attacking NFTs and all digital artists. That's why I'm supporting the Unfuck petition to stop Gary's assault on NFT artists.
I swear I'll change. I'll stop doing what the big banks tell me. I'm done being a dickhead. I'm done being a dickhead. I'm done being a dickhead. How did you get so many people to report me to the SEC hotline? And then you got people involved to make art from people's complaints? It's honestly amazing.
It's time for you to change, Gary. Stop thinking with money first and think with your heart.
I gotta get real. Because at the end of the day, my crypto is your crypto. And your crypto is my crypto.
My crypto's not your crypto.
Okay. Not even a little bit?
None of it. It's all mine.
Okay.
We want to be free to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
We want to get loaded. Yeah. And we want to have a good time.
So AI Gary Dickhead Gensler is the hero of the week. What a wild video, man. That guy did that on the subway with some random dude and then overlaid an AI face of Gary Gensler onto this guy. It is unbelievable. If you don't know who Gary Gensler is, he's the head of the SEC, who just does the stupidest things regarding cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and NFTs. And he is enemy of the Bitcoin world.
Is he the guy that basically put Kaufman out of business?
Yeah.
With library.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So yeah, that dude, whoever did that, I don't know. I probably should have given him a shout out, but I didn't. Apologies. I thought that video, me and Nikki were cracking up earlier. Hannah had a question for you, if I can pull that up. She says, do people tell you you have a Southern accent when you leave Georgia?
I don't think it's like something that draws people's attention, but they can definitely tell.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I leave Georgia, I think I try to like even let it out a little bit more just because it's interesting how people react to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think when I'm in Texas or Mississippi, I get a thicker Texas accent. It always comes out when I say y'all, and things like that. But yeah, there for me, it's being where I'm from that gets me the thicker accent and not going out. Yeah, that's funny.
For me, I don't know. Like sometimes I think it's just a little like fun social experiment when you're in, Yankee territory. Let it out a little bit more. Some people will be off put and weirded out by it. They might not be your people.
Fair.
But then I don't know. I don't know if I get told anything about it one way or the other if I'm just being normal. I definitely do. Like my mom has a very thick accent. It's gotten worse since she's gotten older, but we used to travel and people could not understand her. So
that's a thick accent, man.
Yeah,
that is thick. Well, y'all, we don't have a whole lot to talk about. My mic is actually in the red right now. It's dying here in a little bit. So, yeah, tonight's gonna be a little bit shorter show, which is fine with me. I'm exhausted. So unless Zach has something else to promote, I'm gonna promote a little something else, and then we'll look at some funny videos and then end for the evening. That's cool with you, Zach. Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all. Please go to my website, peacefulseed.network, my company's website. We are about to launch the Dollar Media Club. It's the lowest denomination subscription that you could possibly get. It is $1 a month. You'll get access to the documentaries we shoot, the movies we shoot, the bonus episodes of these podcasts. You'll get access to the Discord. You'll get some percentages off of merch. Our merch store is getting upgraded here very soon. And we're releasing the Cascade Effect on October 1st. And I really, really want people to go watch that show. It won't be the easiest show. I got to interview the sons of the man who was murdered, who was killed in the shooting. And it will be an emotional, very difficult show to get through, but it'll be well worth it. I think it'll be like the audience. Basically what it is, I'm mounting an investigation with the Libertarian Party up here, and we don't know what the outcome of the podcast is going to be. Like it's not one where we have planned it out. We know exactly what the storyline is going to be, and we know how it's going to end. We're doing the investigation, and we want you to come do it with us. We have put all of the documents onto the website for you to review. If you would like to, you can look into how the shooting happened, the history behind why this whole thing happened. And it's very interesting. It's got tons of layers to it. It's a very strange story. So Highly recommend you go check it out and subscribe. It's already on all podcast platforms. We are going to be launching, it'll be a video podcast on Spotify and Apple. So we're very excited. And Liberty Libations will soon be a video podcast on Spotify and Apple. We're switching over to their hosting services so that we can do that because it gets far more people involved. So go over to Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Rumble, wherever you watch your podcasts. Search for the Cascade Effect. You'll find it, and go subscribe. And subscribe to this show. Drop a like while we're still on air. And
I'm excited to see it. The teaser was awesome.
Thanks.
It sounds cool. So
thanks, man.
Do you think this is going to appeal to like true crime fans? Like, are they going to get maybe their toe dipped into Liberty a little bit? Or
man, I hope so, man. That like my goal. True crime is such a big genre of podcasts. Like I feel like it was one of the original things that got people obsessed with podcasts. Was like shows like Serial.
Or S-Town was one of the first big ones, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And so I hope that it will bring a lot of people in and people will see the other things that my company makes and kind of touch base with this world that, us libertarians live in our little echo chamber all the time. So hopefully that happens. I really hope justice gets served for Michael Hansen, who was the victim, because honestly, I don't know. It is not concrete that he was murdered by the officer, but it is extremely suspicious, and there are some very conflicting pieces of evidence. And so, I'm interested to see how it turns out, and I really hope people enjoy it. We're going to try to do it justice. All right. Brian says podcasts aren't real, like Ohio. Nikki wants us to play the teaser. So I'm going to play the teaser. I'm going to pull it up on the website. We're going to play the teaser, and it's 1 minute long. So hopefully most of y'all can stick around. There we go. All right.
The graphics and everything just look awesome too.
I got one subject down. I've been hitting my left shoulder, 77 Wexford Lane. Well, at around 5:30 p.m., we were called out here to Wexford Lane, the site of an apparent shooting.
Our deputy arrived on scene to serve a search warrant.
Mike was never on this warrant.
Michael Hansen, the suspect, pulled a firearm.
Mike had his hand in his pocket. Detective tried to jump the fence.
He went without backup.
The other deputies returning fire shot and killed the armed suspect.
There's actually a lot of things the investigation didn't look into.
Step off the property. Step off the property. What do you got there? Get your head. Fucking asshole.
You show me it's a good shoot, I get it. If not a good shoot, why does it take 3 months for you to clear up this investigation?
Yeah. So that is the Cascade Effect. That was actually my second to last draft of the teaser. So it's slightly changed in the final teaser that is up on all other platforms besides my website, which is hilarious.
So that's a Liberty Libations exclusive.
That's a Liberty Libations exclusive. So go check it out. Peacefulsea.network is our website. And we're going to watch a couple funny videos and then get the heck out of here. And y'all can go enjoy your evening.
I like how Hannah said, where are the other losers who are usually on the show? So we're still included in that.
Yeah, we are still included in that. That's great. All right, here we go. Add to stage. All right, this is a guy's trying to prank his friend, but this cow pulls up instead. I've never seen a cow get that scared, man. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen a cow fall over.
Yeah, I didn't think they got scared, really.
Right?
Unless
Yeah.
there was like a wolf or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a weird one. Here's one of the cutest and funniest dogs I've seen in a while.
Ella, stop. I'm destroyed right now. Oh, no, Ella, you have to stop now. You're going to learn.
Maybe say sit.
No, it's not. It's... Ella, stop. I'm destroyed right now.
Anybody else know a lab
Ella, you
that's
have
done
to
this
stop
before?
now. You're going to learn.
Maybe say sit.
No, it's not. It's... Ella.
I mean, she doesn't just like jump in; she jumps on you.
yeah. I like the one guy who gives a suggestion, and the other guy who owns dogs is like, "No, you idiot! It's not gonna freaking work. You don't think I tried that?"
Maybe say sit. Maybe use the most basic command.
MVP tonight.
It's beautiful.
I mean, he's got the still hat working. This is moments ago.
He wanted that popcorn, and he was going to enjoy every last kernel of that sucker.
You got an oxygen tank around here? I may need some. It's my MVP.
Freaking ridiculous, man. You know that guy was like half drunk watching the game all by himself in the stands. You know his team was getting slaughtered, and he just didn't want to go home.
Yeah, it's probably chaos at home. He has like 5 kids, and his wife's angry, and he's just like, whatever. I'm gonna watch them get beat.
Exactly. And this is how everybody should act if you're attacked. So here you go.
Get back, you don't know me like that. Get back, you don't know me like that. Get back, you don't know me.
The freaking kid starts biting the goose. Dude, that's hilarious. That's so funny.
Goose deserved it for sure.
Dude, geese are mean. Did you see that prison down in South America where they started using geese?
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. That is so crazy.
They're not even the worst. Apparently swans are the worst. Like if you want to protect your chickens or your ducks, maybe ducks, I don't know about chickens. Yeah, if you get a swan, like they won't even like you as the caretaker.
Interesting. All right. Well, there we go. All right, y'all. This has been Liberty Libations. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Skeleton crew tonight. Normally we've got 3 or 4 folks on this show. We'll have guests every week.
Other losers.
We have guests a lot of weeks. Very interesting folks a lot of the time. I highly recommend if you want to go back and watch a previous episode. Episode 90 was maybe my favorite episode we've ever done. So yeah, go watch that one if you want. Like, subscribe, follow us. Come back next week for more Liberty Libations. Zach, anything else before we go?
That's it.
All right, y'all. Peace out. Y'all have a good week.
Bye.